Ramsuratkumar Ashram We will with grateful pranams we shall before we offer our today's prayers, let us thank Bhagwan for this opportunity to be able to sing his name once more together. Now, we have been seeing how Bhagwan touches the lives of people, brings about necessary and welcome changes, and finally how he protects them till the end. Yesterday we saw how Muruganandam's life was touched by Bhagwan, and before that Mrs. Santa Christian, and then this goes on, the list goes on, Preeti Srinivasan. So now today we shall once again see how a Shiva Bhakta saw Bhagwan and how he took over his life. Arunachalam of Madurai was a Shiva Bhakta right from his childhood. Probably he says that it could be because of his name, Arunachalam. He had natural Shiva Bhakti. And then he would, even as a child, he used to make linga out of the mud and worship it. It was also a play for him. And then he began, as he grew up, he began to visit temples and ashrams. And after that, he began to sit for meditation in front of the deity. Slowly, slowly, he developed longing for Shiva Darshan. At the early age of 20 years, the people of his family married him off. Unfortunately, 2 children, one after the other, as soon as they were born, they died. And the second time also, it repeated itself. Broken-hearted, Arunachalam began to go to Muktishwar temple in Madurai and began to worship Lord Shiva more ardently. By the grace of Lord Shiva, Lord Muktishwar, his wife conceived the third time, and this time it was a boy. So you can imagine the boundless happiness of Arunachalam. Then he became even a greater bhakta of Muktishwar, Lord Shiva. Then he began to attend pravachans, the discourses, religious, spiritual discourses of great people. He also sought darshan of Mahatmas. His profession was to build. He is responsible for the building activities. An old friend of mine came to know about this, and then he connected him to another friend, owner of a factory. Because this owner of the factory wanted to build an office and a factory. So Arunachalam was called, they talked it over, and Arunachalam was in surprise because as soon as he entered the place of this proprietor, the owner of the factory, all that he could see was the picture of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar everywhere. Small picture, big picture, and then the sayings of Bhagwan. He began to wonder who this person could be. Especially there was one picture of 6 feet. And then he found out that it is a venerable sage living in Tiruvannamalai. So they had to start work. He was very impressed with the sayings, with Bhagwan. But then he was focused on Lord Shiva. Then they wanted to start the work. So Arunachalam said, this Amavasya day in Tamil Nadu, the day of new moon is considered as auspicious for starting anything new. So Sri Arunachalam proposed that they started on this Amavasya day, that is the new moon day. When the puja was being done, 30 people, a bus load of them came. They got down and they started to sing this name, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Rai. The whole hall was reverberating with the name of Bhagwan, and the puja started. So somehow he was attracted to the singing and this name particularly. But after that, of course, his focus was on Shiva. So after this puja was over, he went back. But then the Nama would not leave him. The Nama kept reverberating again and again and again. That he began to wonder why, without his volition, that this should be going on. And then, of course, he started the work rigorously. And they had made, for the foundation of this factory, they had made huge pits, 40 feet long, 10 feet depth. The next day, unexpectedly, there was rain. And the rain, it rained and rained and rained, that it filled up all those pits. Now Arunachalam had a problem on hand. He had to remove all this water, start building this foundation. So he started to pour away the water from the pit. But then, to his dismay, the edges of the pits began to give in. They began to slide down. They broke. The mud broke, and it began to fall down. It was difficult for them to remove the water. So he was at a loss to know what to do. And immediately the owner of the factory, the proprietor, came with his wife. They had brought a mala. They had come to Tiruvannamalai for darshan of Bhagwan. And then they had brought a mala with them. And immediately both of them removed all the petals from the mala and began to sprinkle them into the pits. And all the while they were chanting, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jai Guru. And then the proprietor looked at Varunachalam and said, you don't worry now. My Swami will take care of it. We have done what is needed. Swami will take care of it. Nothing to worry. What faith, what bhakti. To be able to say that, how many of us can say it? Arunachalam thought, okay, it could be a little exaggeration, it's okay, let's see. And then he went out. The next day when he came, a huge surprise was waiting for him. He found the whole water completely removed and no slide of the soil. So they began to build. He was very, very impressed with the grace of Bhagwan. And of course they started to build. For 1 week the foundation work was going on, and then by prayer to Bhagwan, by those people, the owner, it did not rain at all for 1 week. They were able to do the work. Finally, the foundation came up to the ground, and the next day it started to rain. It was very clear that it Bhagwan who held up the rain. As soon as they finished, it started to rain. So Arunachalam understood this Leela of Bhagwan, the grace, the glory of his grace. So now, when it was raining and raining and raining, when they had to build, unexpectedly the rain would start and it would pour. There was another building there, and these people rushed there to take refuge while it rained heavily. And there again he saw only photos of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar and his sayings, and the Nama was going on. And the owner also would visit every day. He would stay for some time, he would say something or the other about Bhagwan. But that day, when they were all gathered, one of the workers under Arunachalam asked the proprietor to tell something about Bhagwan, because they saw his pictures everywhere, his sayings everywhere. And somehow there was a magnetic attraction towards him. So who is this man whom you people are worshipping as God? Then the proprietor started to talk, give a talk on Bhagwan. It was so vibrant, so inspired and inspiring. For more than an hour he talked about Bhagwan, his grace, his Nama, his worship. And people were so impressed. They also started to chant, and Arunachalam decided, suddenly he felt it was Lord Shiva himself who had come down in the form of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and that Yogi Ramsuratkumar is his Guru. He decided, he was very sure it is Shiva come down as Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So he even planned to take a friend and visit the ashram to have darshan of Bhagwan. 7 o'clock Bhagwan came. When these people were here, 7 o'clock Bhagwan came. They had darshan of Bhagwan. Arunachalam saw the countenance of Bhagwan, the face, the expression, the light on his face, the grace, the compassion. He felt it is Lord Shiva himself. He was even more impressed than ever before, and he was waiting for 10 o'clock darshan. So Bhagwan came at 10 o'clock, he began to give darshan, and people were seated on either side. And it was all in the ashram that happened. And suddenly, when the chanting was going on, the atmosphere was so divine for Arunachalam. He was completely lost in it. And then he heard, tearing through this beautiful atmosphere, he heard somebody lighting a matchstick. He just looked around. It's not possible except in the kitchen in an ashram. But how is that here? Who dares to do it? And then to his dismay, shock and disappointment, he saw none other than Bhagwan himself lighting a cigarette and smoking. It came down upon him like thunder. He could not sit there even for a second. He thinking, my God, how I have been cheated into coming here. Here I was thinking that he is Lord Shiva, verily Lord Shiva. And I was so happy that I got a guru. But what do I see here? How can this man be a Mahatma? A man smoking in front of people? He got absolutely disappointed, dejected, felt very cheated, and then not a second more to stay in ashram. He rushed out with his friend. He said, let's go back. I have already wasted enough time on this man. I don't care anymore. He just cannot be Lord Shiva. And then, when they went to the bus stand, they found the bus to Viluppuram already full, crowded. He did not mind, he just wanted to get back, and then he got into the bus, and they stood all the way to Viluppuram. And there again, from Viluppuram to Madurai, the buses were all loaded, pretty crowded. They did not want to stand in the bus all the way to Madurai, so they thought of taking a train. So they took a train, and the train was just about to leave the platform when they came to the station, and then they rushed there, straight away got into the train. There was no time to buy the ticket. And then the TTR came after some time, the train started to move, TTR came and demanded the ticket. And then these people said, see, there was no time to buy a ticket because we were just rushing to this place. Said, you people say all these things? Okay, there is fine of 500 rupees for both of you. And then when the next station comes, you have to buy a ticket. And someone. So we just wanted to rush back home, and here you see the circumstances have landed us in this, and you are being very harsh. We are already disappointed, and you are adding to it by your harsh words. When we assure you, we would buy the ticket. Then the TTR relented. He said, okay, you seem to be good people, decent people. I don't think you would have avoided buying the ticket, but as soon as the next station comes, you have to buy. So they did not have to give fine. Suddenly this seemed to be a good turn for Arunachalam. But then it was nothing compared to his own disappointment. So they reached Trichy, and then they were thinking of taking a bus to Madurai. Just when they got down and moving on, somebody touched his shoulder from behind and asked, "Do you people want to go to Madurai? I have a car here. I'm going to Madurai. You can pay your bus fare. That will do. I'll take you to Madurai and drop both of you." It was once again another delightful surprise to Arunachalam. Immediately he said, "Okay," and then both of them got into the car. The car started to move. And then slowly, all the people who were already seated there, they all went to sleep. Except Arunachalam and the driver, every other person went to sleep. Now soon the car was filled with a fragrance, a beautiful fragrance, which slightly resembled the smell of smoke. But it was so pleasant, so beautiful to Arunachalam, he could not help thinking, what is this? Is Swami present here? I feel the same smell here. And very soon, the Nama immediately sprang up, and then this Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jai Guru Raya began to reverberate. As things happened one after the other, there seemed to be a change in Arunachalam. Slowly, a transformation came, just sitting in the car while going back to Madurai, rejecting Bhagwan. And he began to feel once again that Yogi Ramsuratkumar is verily Lord Shiva, no matter how he appeared, no matter what he did. And suddenly the divinity of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar hit him with a certain force. And he knew intuitively that Yogi Ramsuratkumar is definitely a divine being. And what was more, his Nama was more vibrant now. He felt very happy, a happiness he could not find a reason for except the presence of Bhagwan. So once again he started to tell his friend, "Look, I feel that this man is divine, no matter how he looked, how he acted. He is definitely my Lord Shiva. He has come down in the form of a guru." And then after that, he rushed to the proprietor and said, "Sir, we had good darshan, but we were a little disappointed when he started to smoke. How is that a great Mahatma like him should take to smoking in the first place?" Then the proprietor said, "Look how Shiva destroys the sins of people. Here Yogi Ramsuratkumar burns away all our bad karmas by smoking. Our karmas go up in the smoke of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, figuratively speaking. Literally speaking, you would see no smell would come when Bhagwan smoked. No smoke would come either. But then he said, when Bhagwan smoking is not like the smoking of ordinary people. He does it for a specific purpose, for the sake of his Father's work. It's not as though he's enjoying." When he began to explain more and more, Arunachalam had a complete change of heart. It is true many people come to Bhagwan only to be disappointed after seeing his smoking. But now Arunachalam has changed completely. He says that in his house, everywhere there's only Bhagwan's picture, and he sees only Lord Shiva in Bhagwan, and his whole house is vibrant with his Nama. Now why would Bhagwan smoke? He had told some people that in the beginning, when Father gave him this work, this tremendous cosmic work, it was very difficult for him to be with people because people had dense vibrations and it did not suit him to be with them, to do the work. And then the Divine Father, the Supreme Father, suggested smoking. But then Yogiji never liked smoking. In fact, if anybody smoked in the same room, he would vomit. Either he would vomit or he would run away from the place. But after the self-realization, after Purnatva, he had changed completely everything about him. All his likes, dislikes, all the pairs of opposites dropped away. And what remained was only the Supreme Father and his work. So he took to smoking and he found that it was okay with him. And that's how his smoking is symbolic of his Father's work. And when he did it in the presence of people, one could be sure he was truly smoking away their bad karmas, their sufferings. This Nama chanting is very, very special. Arunachalam began to do it vigorously and rigorously. We have also been given a chance to sing his powerful name. Now we should submit our prayers at the feet of Bhagwan. Today's prayers, that Bhagwan should intervene, that should be his divine intervention in order to stop the spread of the disease.